We have some new used vehicle value data, and I'm going to be honest, it's not good. In fact, I would go as far as saying that this is some of the worst data that we've seen in a year to 18 months, which definitely is not good news. And the main reason for this is that this is the first vehicle data that we've gotten that really reflects the changes that we've seen with the Trump administration, tariff policy, and the economy as a whole. So let's dig into it. The Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index increased to 208.2, which was an increase of 4.9% from a year ago, and is also slightly higher from March by 2.7%. One thing that is incredibly important and also disappointing to hear is that this is the highest level that we've seen from the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index since October of 2023. Not only were vehicle values higher, but vehicles were also selling for above their vehicle values as well, because MMR retention was at 100.2%, which shows us that wholesale vehicles are selling for above their MMR value. Now, I know that I've explained this 100 times, so I will be brief, but an MMR retention of 100% means that cars are selling for their true MMR value. Below 100% means they're selling for a discount, and above 100% means that they're selling for some sort of markup. And so at 100.2%, that tells us that cars are selling for slightly above their MMR values. Nothing significant, but it absolutely is noteworthy. Now, this was a bit lower compared to the month of March of this year, but was up 0.9% from this time last year and was even higher than what we saw in 2019, so pre-pandemic. And daily sales conversion rate was at 63.7%, which is a decline from the month of March, but is higher than what we typically see this time of year. Now, we typically don't go over this one statistic, but I think it's important to mention, and that is consumer sentiment. Now, consumer sentiment in the month of April went down by 8.4%, which is actually the fourth straight month that consumer sentiment has declined. And what this tells us is that consumers are not confident about the future and spending money. They want to hold on to their cash because they aren't sure what's going to happen. And while consumer sentiment absolutely is not the end-all, be-all metric for economic health, it is definitely a good indicator to tell how people are feeling. And a decline of 8.4% and a 4-month straight decline of consumer sentiment in 2025 is a clear indicator that people are worried and they're skeptical about the future of the economy. Now let's move on to individual vehicle segments, because this is where we are starting to see a pretty significant change. And that change isn't for the better. Last month, compact cars were the only vehicle type that saw a decline in value, and they declined by 1.5%. But unfortunately, every other type of vehicle saw an increase in value year over year, with the total market seeing an increase of 4.9%. And as I mentioned, compact cars actually seeing a decline of 1.5%. Aside from compact cars, mid-sized cars saw the lowest increase of 0.8%, followed by electric vehicles, which have only increased by 1.6%. I mean, in a world where electric vehicles saw any type of appreciation, that is big news. And pickup trucks saw an increase in value by 2.5%, followed by non-EVs with 4.7%, SUVs and crossovers with 5.5%, and luxury cars saw the largest value increase of 5.9%. Now, this is obviously good news if you're someone wanting to sell a car, not so much if you're wanting to buy a car, but this is a direct reflection of tariffs. And I've talked a lot in my videos talking about how the real impact of tariffs won't be felt for a couple of more months, because technically speaking, automakers actually haven't increased the cost of tariffs quite yet. Between the 25% auto part tariff and the actual tariff on the cars themselves, we absolutely will see price increases, but prices haven't increased across the board yet. In fact, just the other day, Ford announced that they will be increasing the prices of some of their vehicles produced in Mexico, but they were actually the first major automaker to make this move. And so I think that what we're seeing here with the used vehicle market isn't an increase in prices because of the fact that the car market is increasing as a whole. I actually think that it's an increase in price because of just consumer sentiment and seller sentiment. People are seeing on the news that prices are going to go up, and vehicle sellers are increasing their pricing accordingly. I theorize that that is why we've seen such a sudden shift in the used car market, but I do think that tariffs will continue to have their impact and car prices will continue to go up. Now, looking at the CarGurus Used Vehicle Value Index, you can see that the tariff impact happened almost immediately with these used vehicles, and we actually talked about this last month. Within just about a day or two of tariffs actually going into effect, we saw this immediate price hike, and you can see that price increases have sort of leveled off in the last week or so, which is good news, but I personally don't expect for this to continue. value, and I do think that prices will continue to go up. It really is just a matter of by how much. But you can see here that via Car Guru's used vehicle prices are kind of equal to what we saw at the end of November of 2024. And the overall Car Guru's used vehicle value index has gone up by 1.06%. And in the last 90 days, it's gone up by 3.17, but year over year it is still down. Now, similar to Manheim data, Car Guru's is showing price increases across the board with different body styles, with these price increases ranging anywhere from 0.14% in the case of vans and wagons, all the way up to 1.62% for convertibles and everything in between. The only vehicle that has seen a year-over-year increase is coupes, which has increased in value by 0.41%, but all other different body styles have still seen a decline year-over-year, some of them significant, like vans, which are still down 6.44% year over year. Looking at individual makes and models, you can see that it is a bit of a mixed bag, though it is leaning more towards seeing more appreciation than depreciation. You can see that there are a wide variety of vehicles that have actually seen increases in price over the last 30 to 90 days, like Volvo seeing an increase of 2.47% and 3.66%. Mercedes seeing a 1.58% in the last 30 days and a 2.87%. Even Ford has seen an increase in the last 30 and 90 days as well. But the good news is, whenever we look at year-over-year data, the majority of automakers are still seeing price declines, so that long-term price impact is still trending in the positive direction for the consumer. But overall, the data here is a bit of a mixed bag, and I do theorize that over the next 30 to 60, maybe even 90 days, you'll see prices go up even more. And I think that we will see more of this data in the green instead of in the red. But one thing that I always talk about in these videos is the real true value of a car is whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. And so while Car Gurus gives us some excellent data, I like to look at Cars.com to get an idea of how long cars are sitting for, how often they're being discounted, and what they're listed for. So over here at Cars.com, I selected used cars, minimum year 2021. So looking at 4-year-old cars and newer, with a price of $20,000 to $35,000 with 60,000 miles or less, something that would reflect similar to the 3-year-old index, which according to Manheim actually saw an increase of 2.6% year over year in the month of April. And you can actually see right off the bat that there are more price drops than you maybe would have thought, like this Nissan Rogue, which has been dropped in price by $1,000, this Polestar by $300, or this Chrysler, which has a price drop of nearly $1,000. But whenever you dig into the actual vehicles, the price drops and discounts are kind of underwhelming. For example, this 2023 Hyundai Santa Fe, which has 31,633 miles and is listed for $23,550. While this car does show a $700 price drop, when you scroll down to the actual vehicle itself, you can see that it hasn't seen any price drops because it was listed at the beginning of April. It then saw a price increase, another price increase, and then a price drop, bringing the price back to where it originally was back at the beginning of April. This isn't a price drop at all, and given the fact that it's been sitting on dealership lots for 35 days, you should be seeing something better. This Honda Civic LX is something similar. It's a 2023 model. It has 16,000 miles and it's listed for $24,512. And while this car has only been listed for 9 days, it has only seen $374 in price reductions, 2 small ones shortly after the car was listed. Definitely not terrible and certainly better than that Hyundai, but not great either. This 2022 Mazda CX-5 Carbon Edition, which has 37,000 miles and is listed for $25,500, is a similar story. I'm actually a big fan of this car. I think it looks incredibly good. But this car has been sitting on dealership lots now for 26 days, and it's only been discounted by $609. Even vehicles that are considered to be extremely high inventory and just low-selling cars like Jeep, specifically the Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited, which has 51,000 miles and is listed for $25,000. This car has been on a dealership lot for 46 days, and it's only been discounted by $1,245. And while sure, that is a much better discount than a couple of $100, this really isn't a great discount given the fact that this is a low demand car and it's also one that's been sitting at a dealership for quite a while. Even Lincoln, a car that has been historically dropping prices left and right, isn't really dropping them as frequently as they were a couple of months ago. We have this 2021 Lincoln Corsair, which is listed for $24,298 and has about 17,000 miles. This car has been on dealership lots for almost 2 months and it's only been discounted by $2,628. with the bulk of that discount coming shortly after the vehicle is listed. Even Ram Trucks, a car that has been seeing inventory truly piling up, and it falls under the Stellantis umbrella, which is absolutely a struggling brand. These cars are also not getting as heavily as discounted. This 2022 Ram 1500 Classic, which has 59,000 miles on it, it's listed for $26,899. And while this car has been listed for 31 days, it's only been discounted by $297. Definitely not great. Now, what this data clearly shows us is that the car market is beginning to shift as a result of tariffs, and this is undeniable. But it was also to be expected. Car sellers are not discounting their cars as much as they were at the beginning of the year and throughout 2024. Car prices are going up, and consumers are just not feeling great about where the market and the car market currently lie. The unfortunate news here is that I think that this is just the beginning. Car prices will continue to increase, cars will become more and more unaffordable, and you are going to see less and less discounts. Of course, if new policy is announced or if things change, then this will all be a different story. But until that happens, I fear that things are just going to get worse. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.